Hey, all you people. Today is the most beautiful, bestest day ever to start reviewing the best top-tier PlayStation 2 games ever made. PlayStation 2 games have pretty much just been greatest hits, some not so greatest hits, others straight up forgotten legends, which I think is pretty cool. That's why I'm doing you the pleasure of just skipping half of this intro, and we're just going to be on our way, alright? See ya. So this here is my two stacks of games I've had set up. I've either had them from my childhood from over the years, or I just bought them on a whim on eBay, or got them as a Christmas gift, basically. First up, we have The Thing. This one is going to have a remake soon, but it is a classic 2000s movie video game. One of the greatest of movies. Even John Carpenter says he likes it. As you can see right here on the back of the casing. It's a pretty fun game. It's a hell of a terrifying game, and I think most young adults would really like this game. If you still own a PS2, I highly recommend you check this one out first and foremost. In fact, it's one of my first videos I did on YouTube. Next up is a classic everybody knows about, GTA Vice City. Now, I've never actually completed this entire game to its entirety, so pretty much, used to just fool around in the game, do whatever, killing gangs, doing some side missions here and there, but this is a all-out classic GTA game. I think you guys would especially love it who are GTA fans out there. Get yourself a copy of this at a retro video game store or on a retro video game website. This is a hell of a game changer right here. It'll blow your mind away. Although, I do think GTA San Andreas was far more superior in comparison. However, this one still stands out to this very day, so recommend that you get yourself a copy and play away. Now, next one is a Nickelodeon classic, one of the best Nickelodeon video games to ever have been man-made or manufactured. And it did come out with a remake, but I always really love just replaying this over and over again. I used to have a old casing for this that was straight out of GameStop, and I just recently got this casing to replace the old one since it was breaking apart and falling to pieces. Even got the manual inside of it, which it never had to begin with. But this is a classic, one of the best Spongebob games to ever been played. And if you really like the remake, you can go ahead and check it out. I'm sure it's got some of the same features, but it's totally different in comparison to this. So this one right here is a SpongeBob classic, and for those of you who are SpongeBob fans, this is the top-rated SpongeBob game right here. Next up, we have my childhood favorite, Ed, and Eddy, the mis-edventures video game. This is one of the classic OG Cartoon Network video games from back in the day. Although they're not very well remembered today. Heck, even the shows are hardly talked about as much as SpongeBob. But this is still pretty fun, hell of a game. If you like adventure games, this is going to be the kind of game you're going to be into. And I would say it's a pretty cool, little mischievous kids game even. It's also, really good with graphics, very unique. They somehow fit their animation style into the video game, which I thought was pretty revolutionary for video games, That really made it something of a unique gaming experience. Highly recommend that you check it out. Get yourself a copy, play it if you're an Ed and Eddy fan. Here's another OG Nickelodeon classic, The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius, Jet Fusion. Wow, that's a hell of a title. So, this one, I could not stop playing back in the day. I was such a huge Jimmy Neutron nerd and really big on that show. And it's, frankly, a show that was pretty much thrown to the wayside by Nickelodeon themselves. But this is a classic gaming experience for those who really enjoyed Jimmy Neutron back in the day. Get yourself one of these. It's also made by the same developer who made the SpongeBob game, THQ. So all these games altogether really came as top-notch Nickelodeon classics. Really cool. Next up we have Kingdom Hearts 2. This one is pretty nostalgic. Now, even though the third game came out, people were really up in hiatus about this game back in the day. First one was forgettable. This one was a hell of a classic. Really great worlds to explore and really unique concept with Final Fantasy and Disney mixing together. It's a little bit strange, but still an overall fun game. Really hope you guys played as much of it as I could, because I could never beat standard mode until I finally took much agonizing time out of my days and Saturdays just to get through Xehanort. So this game really, is unique. A little strange, don't understand the plot, but it's a fun classic. Check it out if you're into that kind of stuff, into Disney or into Final Fantasy. If you're one of those fans, this is one of the games that you want to collect for yourself. Next one we have is a cult classic, which is Resident Evil Code Veronica. Now this one is not held up to the highest esteemed of gaming, even though it says it's the greatest hit. It wasn't exactly held favorably by both Capcom and Resident Evil fans or audiences. It is a unique game with storytelling. However, storytelling is a little bit questionable. It's nice to see Chris and Claire again. Wasn't exactly what I was hoping for, so I just recently bought this at a video game store, retro video game store, video game world up there. So it's a unique game. It's a classic. However, it's not favorably the best, I will admit, especially with the repetitive puzzle solving. But if you're a Resident Evil fan and you want to give it a go, let me know what your opinions or thoughts are on this game. Go check it out. Next up, we've got one of Tom Clancy's classics, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, one of the bestest of the best PlayStation 2 games ever made back in the 2000s. Reason for that is because it's a hell of a stealth game, I've heard, and it still holds up greatly to this day. Has really unique graphics, very good concept overall, and very unique spy game, I will say that. And it also has single player mode and multiplayer mode, so this is a hell of a classic if you're into PlayStation 2. I'd recommend starting out with one of these bad boys. Might be kind of hard to get your hands on one of these for a cheaper price, or a copy of one of these days, but I've luckily had this for so long over the years. I only played a quarter of this game back when I was a kid. However, I am going to play it all the way through and let you know what I think of the game overall, and I'm probably going to do a standalone review on one of these games right here. This game especially. Pretty much all of these games I'm going to do standalone reviews and let you all know what I think, especially this one that I've just recently played. So feel free to wait patiently for me to come out with that, but start out with one of these games if you're going to collect PlayStation 2 games. And as we go down the list, we get into Cars Pixar, or Disney Pixar's Cars. However, the two combined together. I'm not going to dispute over titles or labels, but this is one of Pixar's classic games from out of the 2000s, of one of their best, or the best Pixar movies they've ever made. At least the first one was. So we all remember this one from back in the day as being somewhat of like a GTA concept, E-rated type game. Although it is, yes, E-rated. It is like GTA because it's got a free roaming world, and it's pretty much off script from what the original concept of the movie was about, which I always really liked games that did that took away from the original story of a movie and came up with its own. Games like that are just far out fun, because they always got a unique plot twist. Anyway, I've never actually completed the game all the way through in story mode. I've only just played the side missions, done the racing parts, but it's an overall fun game. If you're a fan of cars and want to collect one of these, get your hands on one, play it. It's very fun, unique. It's got a lot of story modes, and I think it has somewhat side missions here and there. Check that out. Awesome. And now for the last of the last, which is Shadow of the Colossus. A great hit of a game, I would say, simply because it's a great medieval concept and a really unique modernized type medieval game in a large way, simply because it's its own original story. It's very unique with the free roam of the entire vast world you're traveling with on a horse. Something of uniqueness, and most of it is just like boss battling, really. Not many, side quests. In fact, none actually, and nothing to do with fighting, villages. Nothing to do with warriors. Overall, it's just fighting gigantic Colossus creatures of a mythical medieval world where you're having to save your sweetheart. But I will not do any spoilers today, so that's just the uniqueness of the game, because it's got overall great graphics and it's just a hell of a good medieval concept. Check this one out. I recommend getting this as one of your first games to try out. You can probably complete it within a day or so. Like most games, ought to be best to just complete them within a day or within 2 days prior, simply because it's just time consuming to spend weeks on end on games like this. Really cool, guys. So I hope the list of games was helpful, guys, in this review. I really learned a lot from it. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Let me know if I left out any games that were best hits or forgotten games thrown to the waste bin. If you want to like and subscribe, it helps me out a lot. I'll be grooving it out here, guys, so see you later.